All right, we've transported ourselves from the Silverlake sand dunes over to a buddy's private property here in Michigan. And normally on flight school, we aren't going to be hitting groomed or manicured lips like this. But in this case, Silverlake sand dunes are pretty small. They're 1 square mile, and we figure we need to mix in the location. So our buddy Will has set up this jump here. It's pretty massive. It's a good sized kicker, and it's semi-natural. I mean, if you look at the terrain here, it naturally drops down into this gully, and then there was definitely a rise here. They've added about 5 feet of fill at the top of this for a lip. But for the most part, the landing's natural, the run-up's natural. It's just, you know, this little 5-foot lip here. Flight school is all about freestyle pre-running, and that basically free riding with your truck out in the desert, hitting natural lips and stuff like that. But this is kind of a well-known jump that a lot of people, when they come out to Michigan, they want to hit it because you got this corridor of epic trees, and when you hit this jump, it looks like there's a branch here that may be right there, so you might clip a leaf or two on the way by, and it's just going to be cool. So I think, you know, regardless of whether or not it's manicured or not, it's still going to be a rad jump. You got the element of the forest here, and I can't wait to get started hitting it. It looks like it's, I don't know, to the farthest point of the landing, we've got maybe 160 feet or something like that. You wouldn't want to go much past that. You got an abrupt uphill after that. So if you landed into that uphill, it's all over. So it looks like, it's a little bit of a kicker. I mean, we're probably going to get 12 feet off this thing in the air. I'm just excited to hit this. I've seen it on social media in the past for the last 5 years, and every time I see the footage, I'm just like, that is a cool spot. So we decided to come over and hit this on the episode, and stay tuned and check this one out. This one's rad just based on the scenery itself. So one of the good things about a manicured jump though is the lip's always consistent. You can always come over and hit it with the tractor. You don't have to worry about the truck kicking weird off the lip or anything like that. So it makes it a little bit easier when you compare it to hitting natural stuff out in the desert or in the dunes. Makes it a little bit easier to commit to it. So what you don't want to do on this jump here is be timid. When you come up to the lip, you've got this backside of the jump that's, you know, 5-6 feet in the air, and you got, I don't know, 100 feet to the knuckle. So you need to be going at a decent speed. You don't want to come and hit this knuckle. So you want to go, you know, you can go pretty good even on your first run on this one. You know you can commit because you got a consistent lip. You got, you know, 100 feet or so you need to go to get to at least the first part of the sweet spot. We've got 60 feet of sweet spot though on this jump. So, but it's not, in this particular case, you can really kind of hammer down the first go because it's set up for that. So no need to be timid, just hold your gas and trust your equipment.
All right, so Swing Arm City, checked off the list. We traveled all the way to Mears, Michigan, Silverlake sand dunes. What an epic trip.
Yeah, it started out with a long drive across the country. Never driven that far ever. And obviously we know about the Midwest Dirt Fest and all of that. And haven't had a chance to do the Midwest Dirt Fest since I got the truck because it's always in pieces in my shop or in outside shops, just getting work done from the season of pounding on it. So this year decided to make the push to get the truck ready for after the first episode of flight school. We decided, well, Michigan's another location we could shoot. So let's wrap in the Midwest Dirt Fest with an episode of Flight School and kind of kill two birds in one stone. And so that's what we decided. It was a little bit of a thrash getting the truck ready for the Midwest Dirt Fest. Needed new headers. Shocks needed to get gone through. We were able to take care of those two things and a slew of other things that the truck needed. And so we thrashed and got the truck ready and got the motorhome ready. The motorhome needed new tires, new brakes, and stuff like that too last minute. So we, made sure we got that done too, because we just didn't want to have any issues out on the highway.
All that while we edited the entire first episode of Flight School, which was 100 hours mixed in with him doing all that stuff as well.
The goal was really to leave San Diego with Flight School episode 1 behind us, so that we didn't have it in the back of our minds when we're trying to shoot this one. So we just wanted to have it in the can, ready to go, no editing required, upload it to YouTube later, but have it on schedule for August 1st. And we were able to meet that goal as well. So I ran back and forth between the editing room at my house, or the editing, it's my office basically for engineering, but editing down there and then running down to the shop, working down there and going back and forth between editing and the shop. And we were able to get everything done for this. We wanted to have it in the can so that we could also show the first episode of Flight School to the Midwest boys before it airs. We felt like we wanted to originally we were going to handpick some individuals to watch it. Blake and Tyson and Josh and Luke and all the boys out here. But once we got out here to the golf course, to Will's parents' property here, there was an ice cream social the night after Midwest Dirt Fest, and we decided, you know what, we're going to go ahead and premiere it, and whoever wants to watch can watch. And so we had, how many people were there? 30 or 40 or something like that?
35-ish, yeah.
Yeah.
Turned out to be a rad little premiere. That was unexpected. It was cool.
Yeah, it was nice to not just premiere it to our friends like we originally were going to do, but to premiere it to a crowd of people. And then that way we could see their true reactions when they watch it. And we got a couple of applauses and some surprised reactions and stuff like that. So it was cool to see like an actual miniature premiere of episode 1. So I just think I was grateful to be able to show people that. Obviously, originally before we hit play, I was a little bit scared, because it's like we put a lot of effort into it, and we want it to be the best it can be. We know it's good, just because we've been putting together content for a while now, and so we knew it was good. We just, anytime you have something that you're really passionate about and you're wanting it to be the best it can be, you just want it to be just fully epic. And I think everybody after the premiere was talking, and there was a little bit of a buzz as to what Flight School is all about, and it got people talking. And that's basically what we're trying to achieve, is want people to start talking about freestyle pre-running in a way that it is a sport. And so everybody kind of came together and realized that it's a possibility, as long as we all take it seriously as what we're doing out there. Some people may not be prepared to be an athlete, or some of the guys out here, but and maybe they don't want to go that route. They just want to cruise around with their kids and their pre-runners, and I totally understand that too. It's just I just want to kind of try to take it down a serious direction, and that's what my goal is. And I know there's some up and coming people that will want to go that direction too. So that's what we want.
I think moving into the next generation of people coming into this sport, hopefully giving them a different direction of where they can take this. Because right now it's just a fun thing for people to do out in the desert. And it seems like such a select group of people that are in the pre-runner scene. Obviously side-by-sides are huge, and you have this tight-knit group of pre-runner guys. They'd be super sick to see that grow into a sport,
Yeah, and I think most people would say, well, Paul's out there and he's got, unlimited travel and the biggest shocks you could buy, and his truck can handle so much and this and that. Well, I don't think that really matters. I think, you know, even the guys out here have kind of proven it. If you've seen Will's Jeep perform, and you've seen, you know, Luke's Cybertruck perform, those are not like over the top builds. Those are builds that, you know, people can get together and with their buddies and build, or themselves, or even if you wanted to hire, you know, scrape some money together and hire a fabricator to put some two-wheel drive I-beam kit together, or, you know, whatever it is. I mean, you saw the Cybertruck fly through the air. That thing's not like fully built like a trophy truck. It's, you know, I-beams
and it lands super
four
quiet.
linked, and it does crazy stuff. And obviously it used to be a Ranger, but you know, that's what I'm trying to get at, is you don't have to be fully built. You want to be as built as possible so that you can take on as much as you can in the terrain wise without exploding your truck and getting hurt. But, you know, you can still build stuff strong, and you can still go out there and do creative things with it. It doesn't have to be big either. It can be creative. Like, you know, there's a shot in this episode where I saw there was a dead log that was falling down over the dunes, and the sand had pushed up against the log. And I don't know what, I catch like 3 feet of air off of that, but I mean, it's just a cool shot. So, and I don't know if anybody's ever hit that out here before, if that how long that log's been there, if the sand ever blows up against it like that again, or if it's another day, maybe the log's, you know, 3 feet in the air instead of, you know, the sand blowing up against it. So just shots like that, you don't have to go, you know, 20 feet in the air. I mean, it's cool to do that too, but you don't have to do that in order to get like a cinematic shot or a banger like that. So, you know, I just want to encourage everybody to go out there regardless of their build, and do what your truck's capable of, and take your truck to the maximum capability, so that, you know, and get creative with your lines and do all that stuff. That's what the sport's all about. So I just want to make sure people don't just write me off and just say, well, yeah, anybody could do that in a $300,000 truck or whatever. So it's not really about that. It's about creating, you know, your lines and creating your personality, and, you know, letting it kind of blossom in freestyle pre-running however you see fit if you want to get into it. So that's what my message is here. You know what I mean? Because I think it's easy to just say, yeah, anybody could do that in that truck, but
Yeah, it's not always about going out and just thrashing your truck as hard as you can. That the log jump he was talking about, it reminded me a lot of like in Supercross, like a bike like wheel tapping onto another table or something, because your truck like went up it, and the passenger rear tire hit the log last, and it like flipped your truck like almost like a half corkscrew into the landing. Like, I don't know, it was just super artistic and technical. And like you said, on camera, it was very like cinematic looking. And for a filmer's perspective, it's cool filming like big jumps and doing all that. But it's also sick being able to play with like artistic lines, I'm sure, for drones too. Like out here at Silverlake, there's trees everywhere. Like, it's not Glamis style dunes. It's a lot different than what we're used to. And I don't know, I think every location that we go to, it's going to give all of us a different perspective and a different idea of creativity of how to do these episodes, you know?
yeah, I mean, in Utah, it was the small rock jumps. If you saw the first episode, it was the small rock jumps that we, you know, decided to hit. There was a little Supercross popper that we did that was a small jump. The berm shots were epic there. So
yeah, I don't know if we could top Swing Arm City berm shots.
The berm shots in Swing Arm City are insane.
Looked like you were just tossing charcoal behind your truck.
Yeah, maybe in the next episode we'll get something similar. But that was crazy. The dirt color and everything there was just insane. We only have a couple berm shots here. We didn't get into the berms a lot, largely because the dunes are directional out here, and so any of the big dunes that you want to do berm shots on, you can't U-turn on them. So if you wanted to go up the face and come back down the face, you can't do that here. You have to stay in one direction.
Which is super smart for this area.
Yeah, you have to do that.
It's small. If it was just crisscrossing, I mean, there's sections of crisscrossing on these dunes, but like that whole directional area where the biggest dunes are, if it wasn't like that, I think it'd be absolute chaos here.
Yeah, there would be people getting hurt every single day.
Yeah. And to add to the chaos, like, I don't remember who we were talking to, but the probably like 50% of the people that are out on the dunes are people who rent side-by-sides. There's like at least three businesses within a walking distance of the gate to the dunes that rent side-by-sides, quads, anything that you could ride out in the dunes. And people, just regular tourists come in, rent those, and don't really have a clue as to the unwritten rules of like the dune / desert stuff.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, it's a different atmosphere from California to Utah to here so far. Utah is like real laid back, couple people out there, single track dirt bike riders. Glamis is just party central. Ocotillo is like that's like our home base of what we do. And out here, I feel like it's just like 4x4 trails in the dunes for families, and it's cool to experience what these people have out here.
Yeah, I mean, you got your stock vehicles that everybody airs down and goes out, and they're on a Sunday drive. They're on a Sunday cruise. They're only going 10 miles an hour through the dunes and having a great time. And then you got the side-by-sides, the rental side-by-sides. They're doing the same thing, 10 miles an hour, putting around, doing erratic turns, and, oh, look at that over there, oh, look at that over there, and they're just going back and forth. And then you got the serious guys that are all the Michigan pre-runner guys, and they're going, 100 miles an hour doing their laps. So, like, it gets a little chaotic. Supposedly this whole week we've had has been non-busy because it's not really a holiday, so I guess we got lucky there. But I mean, I just want to talk about our sediments when we first got here. The size of the dunes was problematic. The traffic was problematic. We originally, when we first got here, I know I personally was nervous about actually getting an episode in, just because there's so much traffic and there's not enough terrain. And so I just had all these like question marks in my head, whether or not we were going to actually be able to piece together an episode that would be, be able to follow Swing Arm City in a way that would still be like, I guess, flight school-esque.
And we knew we were going to have all of our pre-runner guys out here the entire week. Like Swing Arm, we were very secluded out there. It was like serene what we had in Utah. So going into Silverlake, so it was definitely a little nerve-wracking knowing what we'd be able to do.
Yeah, I mean, the size of the dunes, we've got all our buddies around that want to hang out and do jump sessions, but for flight school, we have to be alone. So it's hard to get away from those guys and say, we have to go do this. And then, we had Dirt Fest, which was, a distraction. So if you add up all those distractions and then the size of the dunes and whether or not we were going to find enough, hits and stuff like that, it was all kind of adding up into my head. Like I was a little bit nervous we weren't going to be able to get episode 2 properly done. And I think with what we have, we could have got maybe one more location. It would be nice to have 1 or 2 more locations, but we got what we were able to get. And I think it's still going to be a banger of an episode for sure. I mean, we had some technical difficulties, and then the truck had 2 issues. One was it shredded the air conditioning belt, which is not really an issue for the show. It is kind of miserable in there when you're hot, but still can power through and get the show done. And then on the last day, which is today, the converter went out on us. So we got cut short a little bit today. We were going to try to find one more location, but we were looking around, and I don't think there was really anything for us today. It just wasn't really coming together, and then the converter, and then that was it. So it's still going to be entertaining though. We got, I think, 3 locations and a bonus location. So it's probably going to be a 20, 25-minute episode, maybe a longer banger section.
Yeah, we'll have to stretch out the bangers.
And then, but the other cool thing about this being out here with our buddies is that there's other media folks out here. So we are going to be able to mix in. Obviously, we're going to want to make sure that the camera settings are good for their cameras, but we're going to be able to mix in some drone shots and some ground shots from some other media folks into the episode, possibly if we can get some Dropbox files from them. That way we can get angles. If we had, obviously we had like a proxy 3rd and 4th camera guy, which we could use to kind of augment the episode to make sure that we've got angles that maybe our guys didn't get. So I think that's going to be helpful in this. So, that will help us get the banger section as good as it can be, because we'll have 3rd and 4th eyes from different directions on different jumps. And that, I think it's going to help out a lot. One of them is Baker's camera, and there was a drone guy out there during the jump session, which we'll probably put in the banger section. So yeah, I mean, it's all kind of come together here, and it's worked out well, considering the challenges. So
I think one of the challenges that definitely added to the stress, well, two challenges. One is GoPros. We're going to talk about that later, I'm sure. But the big one that we all kind of faced was the DNR, the ones who kind of regulate and patrol the dunes. They have a whole slew of rules you got to follow. Obviously, first with the flag on the front of the truck. None of us like that. But also, they don't let you, I mean, obviously it's not smart to begin with, but be outside of the vehicle. You have to be within X amount of feet of the vehicle when you're out on the sand. And in some of the shots, we were kind of struggling to make that happen just because we didn't want to kind of bug people. Hey, can you like do us this favor? Yada yada. But I think that was one big thing that added a lot of stress, is because we always had to keep eyes out for that.
yeah, these dunes have, in the north side, they have a riding area, which is off-road vehicles only. And then in the middle section, they have walking only. So those are the areas where you can hike the dunes. And then in the south section, they have a preserve area that you can actually go and take tours through the dunes with these cool little souped up Super Duties with 20 seats in them. And we actually did that tour earlier in the week. It was pretty fun to go see the scenic portion of it, but they're basically saying that they don't want you to walk in the dunes on the ORV side. They want you to walk in the dunes where you're supposed to walk in the dunes, which is the hiking area. So if you're out trying to get shots, you're considered, a hiker or a walker, and there's an area for that. So that's why they're coming in and saying, there's a specific area. If you want to walk the dunes, you go to the walking area, and you can't have cars in that area. And so that was problematic. There's just rules that we had to follow. So, but they didn't mess with us. I mean, for the most part, they left us alone. There was only one morning where we learned about that rule, and then we figured out a way around it. So, I think that was an issue. The GoPros were a bit of an issue. We just had technical difficulties. So if anybody knows why GoPros just turn off after 4 seconds of filming or whatever, or if there's some protocol there on the GoPros, we were having a lot of problems with turning them on, and they would shut off instantly after filming for a few seconds. It was happening on countless occasions with the GoPros. So we will get it figured out before the next episode. That is one thing we are going to do, because we have to figure it out so we can get more inside shots, fender shots. We know you guys like the in-cabin shots, because it gives you an idea of what's happening inside the truck when I'm doing certain things. So we don't want to just not have those shots. This episode may be a little bit lacking in those areas, but that's why. So you won't see too much. You won't see any shots of me driving. You won't see too many shots facing out, and you won't see too many fender shots, which some of the fender shots are pretty epic, especially maybe in the tree jump back there. It would have been pretty sick to have some fender shots of that. But I think we got a bunch of angles. One of the gnarliest things that the media guys did, or actually Cheery did, is over in the tree jump area where it's real tight with trees. He took out his $2,000 FX30 Sony camera drone. In the morning, I asked him, hey, can you fly the FX30? And he's like, I don't know. And then he went back to the garage, and then he came back out. He said, yeah, I'm flying the FX30. So I was like, that's pretty ballsy to take your equipment through the jungle and, fly it through those trees. And he did it perfect. I don't think there was any issues with that. He flew up and down that corridor with his big drone. And I don't think originally he wanted to, and if I wouldn't have asked the question, he probably wouldn't have brought it. He probably would have just brought the FPV with the GoPro on it. But just the fact that I was able to just kind of prod him a little bit and see if he wanted to do it, just ask him if he wanted to do it. And then he took took it upon himself to make the decision to do it and then also successfully do it. I think that was like a cool moment in the show for him to be able to use that equipment on that location. So
Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna be good.
and that's for those of you who don't know or don't follow my Instagram. That was something I specifically built for flight school. Dweezy came to me a couple months ago asking if I could do this, fly like a full-size camera on a drone. So I ended up building a full-size Cinelifter. Flew it at Swing Arm City. Didn't get to fly it at Midwest Dirt Fest. There was just a couple other FPV guys out there.
It's probably good. It was
And
chaotic there.
yeah, it was chaotic. I just felt uneasy because of channel interference and whatnot. You got the $2,000 camera and then another $1,500 worth of drone. And it's obviously Paul's got more money on the line with the truck, but in terms of camera equipment, it's pretty ballsy. So yeah, glad Paul kind of pushed me to do that because I didn't want to bring it all the way out here and not get to fly it.
I think the only main drone issue we had is Paul slamming the Mavic with his flag.
Yeah, you guys might see that either in the BTS or the banger section. We might show that.
It caught the tip of the flag.
Knocked it out of the sky.
They recovered, but
So not only do the flags look ugly, but it's like a drone deterrent. So watch out with the flags.
it is what it is, though. Everything's good. We're gonna figure out the GoPro issues because that's something that's personally annoying for me as I run all of those. So gotta make sure that's figured out before our next location, and then dial in the Cinelifter a little bit more and do some potentially crazier stuff with it.
Potential new drones coming in the future,
Potential.
which we can get some sick shots.
Yeah.
What was the most cinematic shot that we had this week that you liked, Dweezy? As the director, what's the cinematic banger that you were excited about?
I think the tree jump, because we sequenced like most of that track.
Yeah.
Will's got like a whole track in his backyard because he's a boss. And we took probably, I don't know, 30 or 40 different shots. We had two cameras plus the drones going. And then Paul's idea of doing the jungle music, obviously they've seen the episode at this point. So the jungle music in the background, however that plays out, I think it'll be, the people who saw the premiere this time said that the music and everything and the sound effects made it very captivating. And I think we could play off that. That's something we wanted from the beginning. And each location kind of has its own characteristic to it, you know?
Yeah, and I think once we got into shooting the dunes had its own feel, but I think once we left the dunes and came to do the tree jump, I think we all got into the Utah Swing Arm City mode because the way we were shooting it was exactly how we shot a lot of the shots in Utah. So I think like once we got, it was 2 days ago, yesterday or whatever it was later in the trip when we shot the tree jump. So, but we just kind of felt like we fell back into Utah flight school filming because we had everything. If the GoPros were working, it would have been 100% into Utah mode. But
We had everything
but we felt like we were in Utah mode at that point.
Yeah.
I think the biggest difference is being able to focus. So in the dunes out here, my biggest challenge was obviously the amount of people out there, but then having to spot while trying to film and make sure there's a tripod set up, make sure you have your spot and you're trying to be on a high point to spot for you. I know we had Mel and Sterling out there spotting too, but that portion of it was hectic. And I think once we were able to get down to the tree jumps, we're not dealing with anybody else out there. It was just us in that moment. And we were able to put 150% focus into each shot, you know?
And I think you're going to find in episode 3 and 4 and 5 and the continuing episodes that we're going to be more focused on the episode and more focused on our jobs and more focused on the shot and you're going to see it come out in those episodes because we're going to be in full flight school mode instead of having to deal with trying not to kill somebody out in the dunes. So episode 3, the way that we've got it set up, I don't think it's going to be busy. Episode 4, I don't think it's going to be busy. So we're going to, from here on out, try to find areas where it's remote and areas that, maybe people haven't seen before. There will be an area where we go into I guess more like a home base type desert, but we're going to try to find some new stuff there. I think we're going to come up with some new ideas there. Hopefully stuff that people haven't seen over and over again, because it is local. So it could, some people might look at it as a lull, but I think we're going to try to find hopefully all new stuff. And if we hit the old stuff, we'll do it in a different way, or we'll add a twist to it so it's more flight school-like. Even if we do hit the old stuff, it'll be for a reason, not just to go hit it and get some cinematic version of it. It'll be for a reason. So that'll keep it fresh. We always want to be pushing the envelope for what you guys are watching, because if you guys aren't intrigued, if you guys aren't interested, then we're not doing our jobs right. So we want to make sure you guys are captivated every time you watch an episode. We don't, and you can even tell us, just reach out to us on YouTube or Instagram and just say, hey, you guys are falling off. This is, this is what we want to see. Just tell us, and we'll make it better. That's what we're out here for. So any feedback is welcomed for sure on what we're doing. So
one thing for Silverlake is, back home in our deserts, we're used to being able to hit the same jump year after year after year.
Oh yeah.
These guys were sessioning with Wilkie and all the pre-runner guys out here a couple nights ago.
Massive double, by the way.
Sick
Massive
line.
double.
I mean, it was fat. I don't know, 130 feet, something like that.
Further than that,
Probably
if you want to.
150, 160.
And so we were like, sick, we're going to use this as a location tomorrow morning. Get out there first thing in the morning, lips completely gone. Like the wind with these dunes, it moves it so fast out here. It's like, if you see it, you have to film it the same day or hope and pray that it's there the next day.
Yeah, and it's probably not going to be. The winds come off of Lake Michigan and scoop the sand up. The guy, when we went on the tour, the guy said the dunes can move up to 4 feet every day. So, I mean,
it probably moved a foot or two that night.
Yeah, at least. It took at least a couple feet off the lip, and then there was just literally just a roller there and absolutely nothing to hit. So that was another reason why we started losing locations, because we had planned for a location and then we get there and it's gone, and we're like, we have to find all new stuff. So every day's new for these guys, and it's kind of cool for these guys because the dunes are so small that they don't have a lot of area, but it sounds to me like the dunes change so often that every time they go, it's new. So it seems like you're going to a new desert. I'm sure the large piles are the same, but if you're out there jump hunting, the minute changes in the dunes create jumps on a daily basis that wouldn't have necessarily been there the day before. So
yeah, if you hit it here this day, the next day you might have to go 50 feet down.
Yeah.
And hit a different way,
Yeah, or opposite way. They, last year they said they were hitting the same double we were doing this last time. They said they were hitting it from south to north instead of the other direction. So they said that was the banger last year. So it could be completely the opposite direction. And like Glamis has a one direction wind that goes, it's usually the peaks are all on the east side and all of the rollers are on the west side of Glamis, and the wind just kind of comes across in one direction. But it sounds like here it can go this way, it can go that way, and then so the peaks and crests could be on either side of the dune at any given time. So it's cool to come out here and learn about how their desert functions. I guess it's different than how our desert functions. So it's just cool. And actually another piece of information is the dunes were created because there was a wildfire. So I didn't know that. Burned down all the trees in the area, and there's all this soil, even in the golf course and everything, is all sand. So it either grows grass or trees or whatever it grows, but that wildfire came through and basically burnt everything down to the ground, and then the sand kind of just took over. And then it also happens to be like a natural spot where the sand kind of wants to sit. So it was just like a perfect storm of the trees being gone for a little bit and the sand coming in, and that's kind of how it was created. So it wouldn't be here otherwise. So kind of man-made, I guess, unless it was, I don't know if it was a lightning strike or not, but it seems like it was, you know, it's kind of cool that it created that little sanctuary for off-road out here in the middle of the forest.
It's cool they turned it into that. They could have turned it into a gated off.
Well, yeah, and if you go over to
Tourist spot.
if you go over to the environmental area where no one's riding, the grass, this grass is starting to grow in those dunes, and they say the grass is moving towards the lake, and you know, at some point, you know, I don't know how many years it takes, but it might be forest again, you know, on the south side of the dunes. Like, I don't know how many years it takes, but there's some tall grass in the environmental area where no one goes. So I mean, you know, 100 years or something, there might be like a tree decides to start growing and a couple trees, and then next thing you know, the dunes disappear on the environmental side and turn into basically this that you see around here. But I don't think the riding areas will probably stay the way they are, hopefully, just like we hope in California that our riding areas get to stay the way they are. So it's just, it's cool to learn about an area that's very remote to our deserts and how it came to be and how they're able to use it.
The sickest part about it is these guys can, what were we, a 5-minute drive?
Yeah.
So we're on this golf course. What's their last name?
Kalinda.
Kalinda. Will and his family, amazing people, kept us here at their property for the last week, and they have this 9-hole golf area, and we were able to go golfing today, which is cool because we are not golfers and we suck, but
Yeah.
It was a blast.
Golden Sands Golf Course and Bucket Bar. Check it out.
Food's bomb. Best
Dude,
Pizza.
pizza's
Best pizza I've
amazing.
ever had.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, for sure. It's so good. So, but yeah, I'm glad they took us in. I hit up Will on Instagram some months back and just said, hey, is there any way I can park my RV at your place? Didn't know how close, at the time I didn't know how close it was to the dunes, but this guy Will gets to like come out here and hit golf balls, run the restaurant with his parents, and then gets to drive his Jeep
5 minutes.
5 minutes to the dunes and go in there and rip around whenever he wants. You know, every single sunset he's out there ripping the dunes whenever he wants. It's just like,
Yeah, he can go hit 30 minutes and he's good.
it would be like living in Ocotillo, but obviously this is a little nicer than Ocotillo. So you get to live in this nice area and then also hit the desert right in your backyard. So it's pretty sweet. He's got a sweet setup.
Not to mention his actual backyard too.
Yeah, and then he's
With-
got his own track in his backyard, which rips, and it's sand too. So that's pretty cool as well. You're not getting all muddy or anything like that. It's basically any trails they cut through the forest back there is all sand. So yeah, your truck doesn't get like covered in like gnarly clay mud or anything like that. It's just sand, wet sand. So
Yeah, we didn't have to detail this guy's truck every day at all. We
I
did
mean,
a couple times.
we
I
wiped it down
a couple times.
but it wasn't quite Utah.
No, oh God.
So, yeah, we still have the truck looking clean on all the shots, which is
Truck looks brand new. It's about to go home now.
yeah.
On the trailer, looks brand new still, so that's cool.
Yeah, and that's always a plus when you can have a success. I think we set ourselves up for success on this one. We did the required maintenance to get the truck up and running and operational for this. I spent quite a bit of money and time working on the truck so we didn't have issues, and luckily that paid off and we didn't have issues. And I guess the gnarliest thing that I did this whole week was the jump competition at the Dirt Fest. You guys have probably seen some of that on Instagram. It's the first jump competition I've ever been in, and I don't know if I'll ever do another one. It worked out this time, but I hit the jump twice. At first I was trying it out and I hit it, and the truck did pretty much what I expected it to do. Felt similar to the Hoonigan's jump. And then the next time I came in, I was like, I can go a little faster, but for me, it's a first gear jump. So I hit that in first gear, top of first. And when you have that much torque off the lip, it's hard to gauge how much pop you're going to get or how fast you're going to go. If you're in the high torque range, on your truck when you're hitting the lip, you can, if you're just below the peak and you hit peak off the lip, that's going to be as far as you can go. But if you're under it, I mean, you could go another 15 feet with a little tiny bit of gas pedal. So because you're in the middle of your torque range. So it was kind of lucky that I didn't go too far and spin the truck too far to the point where it drug bumper and then maybe flipped over, or drug bumper and messed up the whole core support and blew apart the front end or whatever it was. To me, when I hit the jump, it was obviously massive and it looked cool on camera, but that was a situation where I wasn't in control anymore once I left the lip. Like, I had no control over what my actions prior. So for me, it was a little sketchy. Being in a position where a millimeter of extra throttle or whatever could have sent me to a pretty bad situation. So it's not worth it to me to do that. So, I mean, I've never been big on like Jump Champs or any of those other ones where everybody just holds it wide off of a giant lip. It's just not what I want to do with the truck. So I don't know if you'll see me in another one. I wanted to do it here just because originally I thought the jump was in past years, it's been kind of mellow. Like, I've seen previous years and I'm always like, that jump wasn't too bad, and the guy won or whatever. And the jump doesn't seem too big or gnarly. But I think this year, whoever was the track operator or whatever, they went a little ham on the lip on this year's, and you could go way past the landing, which I can go past the landing if the truck wants to land right, that's fine. But in this case, it was a popper. If it's a second gear high speed hit at 60, like, I can go way past the lip and land flat and be fine. But since it was a popper first gear hit, I mean, it just threw the truck straight up in the air. And I was kind of holding on at that point. And so once the second jump was over, I actually looked over at Dweezy and Cheery through the window as I cruised by. And they were both looking at me, and they couldn't see me through the tent, but I was just looking over like, dude, and then pulled off the track. And I'm like, I don't need to go again. I'm not going to give it any more gas than I just did. And basically I just got kind of lucky that I didn't have anything bad happen there. It looked sick on camera. I mean, it was probably one of the coolest jumps I've ever done. But the fact that I wasn't in control of the full distance of that jump and wasn't in control of exactly what was going to happen there, it was just I'm usually in some of these other jumps on the episode, I'm 80 to 90% in control of what's going to happen. I think I was probably about 20% in control of what was going to happen on that one. So the percentage of control I had, I was not comfortable with that. So I just want everybody to know that I was that one was a little bit different than some of the jumps you'll see on the episode, because the episode ones, I feel like I know what I'm doing. I got it down. I test the lip. I can go, certain speeds and understand what's going to happen to the truck. But that was wild.
It was sketchy.
Super sketch.
And on that topic too, as far as Midwest Dirt Fest goes, I just kind of want to touch on this too. Like, obviously, like Will's backyard jump, it's a groom jump. You could tone it down, but it was also, that's kind of like their thing. They do it every year. It's their jump competition. Yeah, it was gnarlier in this year than past years, but what you gonna do? It's kind of the same. But I mean, on the topic of Midwest Dirt Fest, I kind of just wanted to shout out, I'm sure they behind me on this too, like the entire Dirt Fest crew, like Tyson, Rylan, and why am I forgetting the third guy's name? I don't know. Anyways, entire Dirt Fest crew, like, they welcomed us too from the West Coast as the Midwest guys, and entire track crew there and everyone there. So
Yeah, I never thought I would be doing any filming or pre-runner stuff on this side of the United States, and I'd definitely do it again if it worked out. I mean, it's a commitment and a half to get out here.
Yeah, we thought Utah was a commitment, 16 hours of driving. Well, this is like 40 hours of driving. So
Yeah, it's been almost 2 weeks of our time to be out here, and for Paul as well on the truck. I mean, he absolutely thrashed on that thing for 5 days, 6 days.
yeah,
So obviously it's super impressive that that truck has been through what it has been this week and drove back on the trailer. Now we get to do our gnarly drive home.
yep. Tomorrow morning we wake up at 4 a.m. and we head on back to San Diego, back home. And then guess what? We get the truck in the shop. We analyze what issues there are. I know there's going to be some issues. Obviously, we got to get a new converter in there, send the old one off to get rebuilt. Check and make sure it didn't mess up anything in the transmission, get an AC belt, and get this thing prepared for episode 3. So
Can't have this guy driving without AC in there.
no, I'm a bougie driver now. So
The belt broke. He drove for like 3.5 minutes. He's like, dude, it's so hot in here.
Gotta keep our driver happy.
yep.
Yeah, so we definitely have a checklist of stuff from media to truck stuff. And the goal for all of us, I think, too, every episode is for us to improve on our crafts, no matter what it is, and get better with organization. I mean, it's a whole new learning curve for, I think, the media side, too. We're not used to, like, filming. So, I mean, usually we're just filming stuff and putting it on Instagram. It's just a few clips. You're moving it from here to here, you know? And flight school has been a really big learning curve of transferring terabytes of footage from multiple different cameras. You know, Paul and I spent time doing a file structure to make sure this is all organized for us. We actually changed it again after episode 1, condensed it a little bit more. But it's difficult, you know. You go out and film all day, then you gotta go back, pull all the SD cards, organize all those files, put them where they need to go, different cameras, different locations. So I think in the future episodes, as we get better at these things, it'll help the whole picture of what we're doing right now. And yeah, it's a cool learning curve for me too.
So stay tuned for episode 3. It's coming up. It'll be episode 1's August 1st. You guys have already seen that. Episode 2, September 1st. We're going to try to do it every month. So episode 3 will be October 1st. And that's the one we're preparing for now. Once we close the chapter on this one, get back to San Diego, put together the edit, which is going to be me and Dweezy sitting down for probably 40 hours. Last one was more, but we might be able to cut that in half this time because we have a template to work from that we can use now. So we're super excited about getting the first one behind us because now that we have the template, we know how the episode is supposed to be put together. We're obviously going to make it better if we can and where we can, but I think it's going to be super helpful because it actually helped us get the shots quicker out here too, because we knew, okay, we need an intro, we need an outro, we need, you know, this, and this is going to go here and that's going to go there, and location 1, 2, 3, bonus location, stuff like that. So it makes it easier for us to put it together. And so look out for episode 3 coming up in a month. And we're going to try to keep it fresh for you guys. That's our goal.